Hello friends, welcome back to this online lecture series on structural failures and repair. In the previous lecture, we have been discussing regarding the conceptual portion of this subject, where we have focused on the evaluation need for the evaluation of the structures, and we have also seen the important aspect regarding the objectives that go into the evaluation of the structure. Because unless and until the objective is defined, until and unless the objective is defined, then and only then we will be able to carry out the investigation in a particular way. And if you remember in the last slide of the previous lecture, we have listed down the step-wise procedure for carrying out the evaluation of the structure or condition assessment of the structure. And if you remember that in that slide, the first point or the first step for the condition assessment of the structure was preliminary. Right? So today we are going to discuss more about the preliminary investigation of the under the category of evaluation of the structure. So now first of all, just like we have discussed that there needs to be an overall goal or objective for the evaluation of the structure. Similarly, if we talk about the goal of the preliminary investigation also, then we can say that the goal of the preliminary investigation should be to find out the following information. First is the condition of the structure, that is physical condition of the structure that is there in the present scenario. That whether the structure is stable or not, that needs to be seen first of all. Second is type and seriousness of the problem, whether the problem is structural in nature or non-structural in nature, right? Now that can be decided on several aspects, whether it will, for example, if we are talking about a crack, then based on the location of the crack, it can be decided whether this particular crack will be considered as a structural crack or non-structural. Similarly, based on the location of the distress, it will be categorized under the category of local failure or global failure. So once the location and the element in which the crack is once the element and the location is known, then and only then it can be decided whether the problem is serious or not, and whether immediate action needs to be taken. Third is regarding the feasibility check. That is, as we have discussed in the previous lecture, the objective of the investigation should be defined, and the objective of the objective of the investigation can be classified in 5 terminologies that we have seen last. Whether the structure can be considered as the structure needs to be preserved or not, whether retrofitting of the structure needs to be done, whether repair of the structure, whether strengthening of the structure needs to be done, or whether the restoration of the structure. So these are 5 definitions that we have seen last time, and these definitions will help us to identify the evaluation of the structure or the purpose of the evaluation of the structure. And this comes only after detailed discussion with the client, right? So for example, if after a discussion with the client we are making a conclusion that the intended purpose of this evaluation by the client is that he wants to restore the structure, then when you are going to do the preliminary investigation, then you need to actually check whether this restoration is possible or not, and that is why this feasibility check is going to be an important aspect. Sometimes it is going to be such that at the very initial level of the preliminary investigation also only you will be able to identify that this particular modification or this particular objective that we are going ahead with is not possible. So then that is going to happen. Then in that case, the further investigation need not to be carried out. You can stop at the preliminary investigation only, right? But once you are going to carry out the investigation, then later on, if you are going to face problems, then it will be difficult for you to understand, difficult for you to bring that clarity in the mind of the owner also, and as well as you will be wasting some time of the contractor and the engineer also. So it is necessary that you understand and you check the feasibility aspect in the preliminary investigation itself. And along with that, the other objective will be regarding the collection of information that is required for detailed investigation. For example, if you have done the feasibility check, and after doing the feasibility check, if you are realizing that yes, this particular investigation can go on, and if you are deciding to carry out the investigation on later stage also, then in that case some basic information will be required which will help you to carry out the detailed investigation aspect also, right? So if that is the case, then in that case this particular point, that is collecting the information regarding the detailed investigation, is also going to be an important, right? So for the commencement of the preliminary investigation, 3 basic prerequisites are required. Like every process has some prerequisites, right? So similarly here also we are having 3 prerequisites which will help us to carry out the evaluation of the structure in an organized way, right? So if I talk about these 3 prerequisites that are there, then the first prerequisite is going to be an established objective. That is either in the form whether the structure needs to be preserved, whether it needs to be restored, whether it needs to be retrofitted, whether it needs to be strengthened. That thing has to be clear from day one. Then written agreement with the owner has to be done, wherein the duration of the investigation, along with that the estimated cost, what are going to be the pros and cons of this investigation. All these things need to be discussed with the client and it needs to be listed down on a piece of paper and an agreement should be formed accordingly. Right? So that is going to be the second part that is going to be there, which is known as the written agreement with the client or the owner that is involved. Right? And clarification on the process to be carried out. That is going to be the third. Why? Because that is also again important, because how we are going to carry out the proposed retrofitting or proposed restoration is important, because if it is going to create a hindrance with the other processes that are going on, then as a result of that, it is going to have more implication on the cost part or the operation cost part of the particular facility. For example, if you need to carry out some kind of modification inside a factory, then in that case you need to wait for the shutdown period. If you are not planning to carry out the maintenance in the shutdown period, then in that case what is going to happen is that the regular production is going to get affected. Similarly, here also that thing needs to be cleared, whether the process that we are going to thinking of, in which we are going to, or sequence in which we are going to carry out the operation, is it going to delay any other activity, or is it going to have us any other any other kind of implication in terms of cost and time? Then that needs to be also checked. Sometimes the stability of the other elements or the surrounding elements is also compromised when you are going to trying to achieve a particular object. So that aspect also needs to be studied, that whether when you're going to do the proposed modification, are you going to compromise with the structural stability of the structure or not? That also has to be clearly thought of. Now the next, that is, we talk about the several stages. Just like in case of evaluation of structure, we have seen several stages. Similarly, if I want to carry out the preliminary investigation also, because as I said, it is all about organization. That is how because you want this investigation to be in an engineered way, you want this investigation to be in an organized. So it is necessary that you follow a certain sequence, because if you follow the certain sequence, then you will make sure that you will have all the necessary information that is required at once. If you are not going with any kind of planning, then in that case the possibility is that after visiting the site of for so and so many kilometers away, then you come back to your office and then you start collecting or analyzing the data, and then you realize that this particular data is missing, which I have not taken from this. So you call up the client and then you say that this information is not with us. Then it will leave a bad impression of you with the client, that the engineer is not coming with a prepared and a planned way. So to help you prepare or help you prepare for the evaluation of the structure, or what you can say the preliminary investigation stage, certain steps are listed over here which needs to be followed. First is you need to do the review of plans and specification, right? So when I'm talking about review of plans and specification, first and foremost you need to ask whether there is the as-built drawing of the particular building is present or not. Because if the as-built drawing of a particular building, and when I'm talking about drawing, the architectural drawing and structural drawing both are included. Because if you want to make some modification in the structure, then as a structure engineer also, first you need to identify what is the structural system, whether it is a load-bearing system, whether it is a frame structure, whether it is a composite structure. Because then and only then you will be able to provide, or you can suggest some kind of modification. Unless and until you are able to understand the system, structural system clearly, you should not take any kind of decision, right? So that is why this review of plan, specification and construction record is very important. That is, when I am talking about plans, then you can have several agencies through which you can get the plans. That is the original designer, original owner, or the passing authority is there, or the original contractor is there. From all these agencies, you will be able to get the, what you can say, the record of the drawing. Along with that, the other word that is mentioned is regarding the specification and construction record. Now, when I talk about specification, the specification is dealing with basically the grade of concrete, the cover is provided or not, the whether the testing is carried out or not, what are the cube test results, and whether the formwork drawings were prepared or not, whether the pour card was prepared or not, whether the checking of reinforcement was done or not. These all kind of records will be available to you once you get in touch with the correct person. So you should review all these things, and if you see any modification with the drawing as respect to the thing that you are seeing on site, then you need to note down that particular. Then second case is the site observation. That once you are having this plan with you, that is the architectural plan or structural plan. And one more thing is that if in case, because when you are, what is going to happen is that in the majority of these structures that you are going to visit, in majority of these structures, what you are going to see is that when you will visit, then the possibility is, since the structures are going to be old, that is 20 years, 25 years, 35 years, 40 years old structure. So when you visit this structure, the possibility is that due to the change in the owner or due to the duration of the time that has gone by, the possibility of having the original drawings or the original designer is going to be very rare. So in that case, what you need to do is first you need to ask the contractor or first you need to ask the owner to prepare a drawing of the building, existing building, right? So for that you can take help of a surveyor. You can ask the surveyor. He will take the dimensions and he will prepare your layout based on which you can then start your visit. And once you start your visit, then you need to keep an eye on the modifications that you are seeing on site with respect to that with the drawing, right? Along with that, you need to identify the critical locations, if any deflection you are seeing, if any displacement you are seeing, if cracks are observed, right? Whether this crack is structural or non-structural, all these kind of information you need to have. Then measurement of geometry. When I talk about measurement, then if the structural drawing is available with you, then you need to cross check whether the dimension of the member that is given in the drawing is same on the site or not. For example, if the beam width is 230, then if the width, whether the width of the beam is 230 or not, whether the column center to center distance is same or not, right? Whether the spacing is also same or not. These all things need to be checked. So if any deflections are observed, if spans are there, then large span structure should be measured. Deflection that is there at present condition should be measured. All these things should be checked on site when you are doing the preliminary investigation. Then once you are doing this particular thing, and if there is some local distress that you are observing at this particular place during your visit, and if you feel that this might be of some serious implication, that is, it will be structural in nature, then in that case, if you want to ensure that it is not much serious, then what you can do is you can suggest a non-destructive test. In this case, one needs to be very careful and very clear that this non-destructive test that we are going to do at the preliminary stage is going to be a very, what you can say, a very basic test, that is not a very detailed investigation that we are going to do. But this can be done only there. These last three steps that are there, that is non-destructive testing, then exploratory removal, and lastly sampling and testing. These three activities will be done only if any serious issue is observed on the site during the preliminary investigation. Other than then, the first three things are going to be the only things which are going to be important. Right? So that is when we talk about review of plans and specifications, as you can see, as we have discussed, that in order to get the access to the drawing, there are several sources that we can refer to, right? That is, first you can refer the owner's file, then you can contact the original designer, then original contractor, right? Then local authority offices where the passing of the structure is done, right? And lastly, if the structure is a historic structure, then you may get the data of this particular structure in a library, in a university also, right? Because sometimes we see that when historic structures are there or heritage structures are there, then this data is published in some university or in journals. So possibility is that you may get access from that particular location. And drawings once available should be checked with on-site situation and should be checked for changes and code confirmation. Now that is again another issue. That is, when the structure was constructed, in which year it was constructed, and which code was applicable at that particular time. Now you are doing the modification in this particular year. So over a period of time, there has been change in the different clauses of the Indian standard. So as a result of that, you need to check whether if you are going to do these changes, then is the structure going to be in conformance with the current code of practices or not, right? So these are all different aspects that you need to keep a check on during the category of review of plan specification construction. Then if I talk about site observations, now I have given you a general idea already, but still if you list down a couple of points which you can observe during the visit, then the first thing is that nature and extent of the problem. That will be depending upon what you can say, the location of the crack, for example, whether it is structural or non-structural, that is the nature, and then extent of the crack is whether it is going to be beyond a certain length, depth, what is the width of the crack, whether it is live or not, whether the deflection is taking place, then what is the permissible value, what is the actual value of deflection that is observed on the site. These are all different types of issues that you can keep in mind on. Then identifying the affected members, that which are the members which are going to be critical. Now again, that will be critical or not, they will be defined based on the location of the member, that is whether the member is local member or global member. For example, if the deformation is taking place in beam, then it will be considered as a local deformation. But if the distress is developed in column, then it is a global distress. Why? Because if the column fails, then as a result of that, the stability of entire building can be jeopardized, right? So the identifying the affected members is also very important. Then serious distress or not, that is also we have already discussed, right? Then location and frequency of the problem, whether the crack is live or not, you need to check, right? Because if it is a dead crack, then the cause of worry is little bit less. But if it is live, then in that case it is going to be a problem. Then monitoring of the cracks. If it is a live crack, then you need to suggest some kind of measure through which you can monitor the movement of the crack in the coming days also. Then areas of load concentration. Where is, for example, if you are seeing certain area which are heavily loaded, then you can go and cross check and discuss with the client whether this particular thing was originally planned or not, right? Then another aspect is regarding the connections also. And these connections are going to be important, particularly when there is going to be a deflection in the system, because the connection between the beam and the column is going to be affected if the deflection is also observed, right? So that is why the connections need to be studied, particularly in case of steel. And during the site visit, as I said, that some photographs and videos should always be made. Why? Because when you go back to your office and you start analyzing the data that you have collected, and you feel that you need to recall certain things, then these photographs and videos will help you to recall and revisit the site sitting in your office, right? So that is why it is important that you take the photographs and videos during the visit that you are doing. Then again, measurement of geometry. So as we have seen that first you can measure the dimension, second you can measure the span, then the magnitude of deflection that has taken place in the member, then the width of the crack and whether it is live or not, then the existing slopes that are given in the structure, whether they are matching with the current existing plan or not, then alterations from the plan, that is if certain dimensions are not matching or if certain member sizes are different than what is given in the drawing, then that has to be noted, and along with that the connections also need to be observed closely, right? And in case of any major deviation is there, then as a result of that it has to be brought to the notice of the owner and it has to be recorded on paper as well. And lastly, if we talk about non-destructive testing also, as I have said that non-destructive testing is not going to be that much important in case of preliminary investigation, but only if you find something which is going to be little bit fishy in nature and you need to be sure about that thing, then in that case you will go for non-destructive testing. And when you go for non-destructive testing, then it will not be an extensive exercise, it will be only a very preliminary exercise, where couple of tests only, such as very simple tests such as force vibration test or rebound hammer test or acoustic impact test, such type of basic tests need to be done during the preliminary investigation, right? And once this preliminary investigation is done, then you need to prepare a report, and this report should conclude this report should present the following aspects, where the first aspect is the structural capacity check, second is the project feasibility, third is the structural problem, fourth is the strengthening requirements, and fifth is the further investigation. So if I look at these points one by one, then the first point is structural capacity check. So you need to make sure whether the structure is capable of taking further loads or not, right? And it is going to conform with the current codes or not. Second is project feasibility, depends on the location, depends on the problem, whether working condition is there or not, whether access to that particular location where the problem is there or not, what are the implications, whether people will be able to work there or not, whether labor will be ready to work or there or not. These are all different things that are going to be kept in mind when you talk about feasibility check. Then structural problems, again, whether the observations made in the structural or non-structural in nature, right? And if yes, it is going to be a structural problem, whether the issue can be resolved by means of strengthening or not, right? And yes, if strengthening is possible, then lastly you conclude that yes, if strengthening is possible, then we may go for further investigation in form of detailed investigation, right? So these are all 5 points that should be mentioned in form of a report, and this report should be presented to the owner, and further discussion should take place with the owner and contractor to decide the further course of action, right? So that is it as far as this particular segment of preliminary investigation is concerned. In the next lecture, we'll be discussing regarding the detailed investigation aspect under the category of evaluation of